Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome back. If you watch my previous ramble, I've only ever uploaded one other video to this channel. And I had intention of doing one when I hit the 45-day mark of the de-iron process, which took a total of 90 days. To kind of give everybody an update of where my headspace is, where the mentality is with the game, and I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. But ultimately, it never happened, right? So, it is life. I've been very busy the last few months. I've really been diving into a lot of personal kind of discovery and decluttering and just prioritizing what means the most to me in my life. And I think taking a break from the game was really good for that. And as you guys can see, I'm back, and I'm a main account now. I've just been really AFKing salvage. I haven't had a lot of time to play the game, which isn't like a bad thing or a good thing. It's just my reality. Currently, it's what's going on in my life. So I really wanted to structure this video around a few core concepts of things that I've been really focusing on in life and looking at. One of those things is kind of the forefront of this discussion, which is burnout and setting goals. Now, a big reason of why I stopped playing after I made the initial video, or reduced my playtime in general, was because a lot of the goals I had set previously felt pointless, or I guess a waste of time. I was going to be spending those resources or that GP or that time doing a goal that I had set for myself, only to lose that time after I became an Iron Man. And I guess realistically you don't ever lose the time, but there's something in my brain where it's just like, I might as well just wait. And wait I did. So I've taken a lot of time in my life recently to just kind of reevaluate things, and I think talking about burnout in a game like this is so crucial, because I have conversations with people who don't play RuneScape, or they just play casually like other games. And burnout to them is confusing, because they're like, well, if you're not having fun, or you're, getting overwhelmed by something, most people aren't playing a video game 8 to 10 hours a day, which a lot of RuneScapers seem to think is not a lot of time, right? So a lot of people outside of the RuneScape sphere don't understand burnout. So if you are listening to this and you don't find yourself understanding it, burnout, for me at least, occurs when I really just kind of force myself to be in a position of progression, right? Where I'm just like, okay, I'm going to set myself this long-term goal, or I'm going to set myself this 100-hour goal, and instead of managing my expectations or my time, I knock that out in, a week of playtime, or I just kind of like full send, all gas, no brakes type situation, and I just kind of go for it. And then I do this 4 or 5 times, and next thing I know, I'm 3 months into this and I'm just not having fun. Am I making progress? Yes, I'm making good progression, but I'm just destroying my urge and enjoyment of the game, like my urge to play or my enjoyment of the game. And that's a struggle for me, I think, long term. And I know this doesn't impact everybody. I know not everyone is like this, but for me, when we started Log Chasers, I played for a year and like 2 months straight without taking any breaks. And that was probably like, and it was a lot of time just logged in doing things that had nothing to do with the game, just whether that be socializing or managing something or updating certain aspects of the community. It was a lot of time. And I think inevitably that has led to the burnout that I had after I started my de-iron process, and I really, really needed it to readdress my goals, but also to kind of appreciate other things in the gaming sphere that have occurred. Like I started playing Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Fantastic game. Very fun. I'm also replaying through some older games that came out 10 years ago. Like I started the Division 1 on the Steam Deck, and I've been really enjoying that. It's been a good time. Totally off topic there. So let's kind of dial back here. And the best way to avoid burnout, in my opinion, is proper goal setting. And I think this is something underutilized by a lot of people in the RuneScape community. Not necessarily the HLC. I think the HLC is really good about setting themselves goals. But I think there's a principle in life. It's referred to as smart goal setting, and I know it's like beaten into the ground. It's borderline laughable, right? The idea is that your goals are specific, they're measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And that whole framework, as cliche as it is, it's very, very good, and it helps you not just in game, but in real life too. I think accomplish your goals in a timely manner. And goal setting for me has always been a really big way I play the game, and that's why in Log Chasers I created for clan members a section for where they can post their goals, and then another channel where they can post the progress of obtaining those goals, and they can just kind of check things off as they go. And I found that always really helped me continue and strive for better, or to just stay consistent. And the power of consistency in all goals is, instead of thinking about playing 14 or 16 hours a day like you would do in a comp or something of that nature, that would burn people out after a while. But playing 4 or 5 hours a day, which is still quite a bit, but just doing that consistently, if that leads you to never burn out, that is generally a better way of playing than to just kind of go balls deep and really just play a ton only to quit for 3 months after that. So I think consistency is really good, but also understanding the need for short-term and long-term goals. And I think the HLC, primarily, I think my interaction with Log Chasers, I think a lot of people are really great at setting long-term goals. Because it's easy to look down that tunnel and be like, wow, accomplishing this would be really cool. But then they don't set themselves up for success by creating these obtainable little micro goals in between that. And some people don't need that, but I, for one, am a person that says, if I'm going to go for 2k CM cape, I can't just full send 2k CMs. I need to, say, okay, I want to do 2k CMs by the end of this year. In order to accomplish that, I would like to do, 50 CMs every week for the next, 10 weeks. And then I'll take a small break and then I'll go back to it, kind of situation. I think those are like the little stepping stones that lead to these big goals getting accomplished. I heard a quote probably like 5 or 6 years ago that's kind of lived with me in different facets throughout my life, whereas don't quit on your dreams because they're going to take too much time, because that time is going to pass anyway. And I always really resonated with me, because just because something is going to take a while doesn't mean it should be a deterrent of you being able to say, okay, I'm going to try and accomplish this. Because if it is a deterrent, you'll never ever accomplish anything big or worth completing unless it's a small menial task, because all of these small menial tasks that you do will eventually compound in you accomplishing your long-term goals. And I think just goal setting in general, if you want to be a long-standing, just enjoy your time in RuneScape. It's one of those games that has, tens of thousands of hours of content, so setting goals is really important. And I really just kind of wanted to what's the word I'm looking for? I guess really just dive into that, because I think it's something that I notice a lot of people, at least in my friend circle in real life who play video games, it's not a common thing for people to look at a video game and be like, you know what, this is what I want to accomplish over this period of time. So which leads me into my more impassioned topics is minimalism in general, not just in the game, but in life in general. Is with all this extra time I've had, because I really haven't been wanting to play the game, I started looking at a lot of aspects of my life, and I think there's so many people in this world who are infatuated with being a hobbyist, if that makes sense. I've run into so many people in my life who start and stop hobbies, and the majority of their time they spend is sitting here researching a new hobby, looking into it, making sure that they know every nook and cranny of how to be the best beginner at this new hobby that they're going to start. They get all of the tools that they need to start this hobby. They look up all of the things that they need. They get guides to read when they're starting their first project, or their first experience within said hobby, and they spend countless hours preparing to do the hobby instead of just diving head first and doing it. I don't know what causes this, but it leads to a lot of clutter in people's lives, and I used to be very guilty of this, and I still am trying to kind of remove all of those extra pieces in my life. I did some woodworking. I've tried to make my own chess sets. Like, there's a lot of different hobbies that I've picked up, and I've kept with them for a few months, and I feel like I get what I want out of them. And instead of becoming an expert at them or mastering them or getting really, really good enough to, like, really create some shock and awe, I wouldn't say I abandon them, but I move on to something else. And part of this is intentional, and part of it is just ADHD. And the intentional portion is I noticed a long time ago, the art of having a hobby or collecting things has been so shit on as this waste of time. And I don't know if it's just an American thing within the culture, but I feel like people always need to be, if you're going to be doing something as a hobby, people would anticipate you to be trying to make money from it. And just doing something for fun is, I wouldn't say it's frowned upon, but it's just, it baffles people in this day and age. So if you're playing a video game, people feel like you should be streaming, or why are you playing a video game this long? You should be trying to earn income from it. If you were woodworking or making chess pieces or whatever, you should be trying to sell those things on Etsy. Like, why are you doing this if you're not going to be getting any, return of investment, instead of just viewing the dopamine and the happiness that you receive of learning a new skill or accomplishing these small tasks as your version of dopamine. So that all goes to say is I have done a lot of different hobbies in the last 6 or 7 years, and some of them have stuck that I still do, but the other ones that I've stopped or just don't really partake in anymore, I have all this shit. And so for me, it's been a big thing of decluttering, and trying to kind of reduce the things in my life. Like, there's no reason for me to have 6 mice and 6 keyboards that I just were trying for a little while. I've seemed to accumulate a lot of things, so I've been trying to declutter my life and reduce the garbage that I have in it, and just trying to be more intentional. And instead of repurchasing something to accomplish a goal, is just kind of trying to figure out things that I already own and how those best accomplish goals that I'm trying to do in my life. So and as weird as this sounds, it kind of goes with the same sentiment in RuneScape, right? And I'm trying to accomplish this in the game as well. When I finish 99 sailing, a big thing I'd like to do is go through my bank and have everything that I have in there be an intentional piece of something I'm trying to accomplish, whether that be my own personal time. I'm trying to do cooking, get 50 mil or 100 mil cooking, because I'd like to do some skills. So it's just kind of reducing all of that. I went from being an Iron Man that had to store everything, like freaking out, like, oh my god, I need all of this shit in my bank at all times, to being a main account. So it's kind of a freeing thing for me, and it helps with assist this minimalistic concept that I'm going with, and just trying to figure out the best way to do that and to feel less anxious, if that makes sense, because there's so much to do. Now that I'm a main account, I have so many things on my plate, and it's kind of like overwhelming to say the least. As an Iron Man, it was very, very apparent what I should be doing. It was like, okay, I need to do these pieces of content for gear progression, not just doing the collection log content. And now as a main account, I have so much on my plate, just doing my best to kind of section that off and focus on the essentials of like core pieces of the game that I just want to dive into one at a time. So yeah. And I guess another aspect of that too is playing more intentionally, if that makes sense. Trying to log in, and instead of standing at the bank and then responding to Discord messages and having all these notifications that pop up while I'm trying to play the game, just kind of intentionally just kind of muting all of that, and then spending my time that I'm logged in actively playing the game, and I'd like to get better at that. I've always been really bad at being focused, and being able to do that in small periods of time. Which branches me into another portion of this is I talked a lot about like my real life side of the house, and time exchange is something I'm trying to be more cognizant about. It was really easy for me to sit down on my computer, and then next thing I know, 7 hours have passed and I've done 20 CMs and had a good time with the boys, but what the fuck am I supposed to do with the rest of my day? It just felt like I'm exchanging this time in this virtual world, and I get let's say I get EHB, right? I get EHB on my account, and what's it called? Like that's cool and all, but I just don't know if that time exchange is worth it to me. So kind of trying to segment my days into playing, maybe after my kids go to bed for 2 hours, or playing, a little bit, before dinner, or just trying to figure out how I can better negotiate my time to have a healthier relationship with the game, because I don't want to play a ton. I think it's easy for me to maintain good progression while also kind of adjusting my real life priorities to better suit what keeps me happy. When I sat down and I really looked at like the non-negotiables of my life, as far as my priorities, even the top 5, video games really didn't make it in there. My health, my job, my family, all these things are so much more important. OSRS, like, it fits into that category in a way that's more of like a leisure activity, but I've been traveling a lot lately, and a big thing for me is that leisure activity has been just spending time with people, meeting people I've met in RuneScape, and it's just been a really, really fantastic experience that I hope to continue diving into, but also still maintaining a relationship with the game, if that makes sense. I think that there are good aspects of RuneScape that translate into real life that help people. I think that RuneScape is a great teacher for, like patience and persistence. And it's good to acknowledge that, games can teach people things like that, but it's really easy for RuneScape to go from being a teacher or a social platform to a thief of my time, and I'm trying to find a balance, but I still don't know. I'm really just rambling on here. I do apologize, but I really don't know what that looks like yet. I'm trying to find it to the best of my ability, and hoping to strike a good balance, because I really love the game and I want to keep playing it. And right now, I'm just salvaging. I'm gonna be doing Gwyneth soon. I'm like 90 sailing. Yeah, but I have just hard AFK'd this whole thing. Like I said, I've been traveling, so a lot of my sailing XP has been log into my phone, have both my deck mates or whatever you call them start salvaging, and then I put my phone in my pocket, and that's pretty much. And then I log back in and I start sorting, and then when I finish all the sorting again, I put my phone back in my pocket. So it's a weird way to play the game, but it's been keeping me kind of, not fantastic progress, but steady progress nonetheless. So, and I think that goes kind of into my next point of reducing my gaming time, and my time in general spent on technology. That's like my way of feeling like I'm making progress, but also it's like a hack, because I'm not really playing anything on my phone. Like I stick it in my pocket and I forget about it. But I'm still leveraging like the 25-minute AFK timer to still make some level of progress. I'm trying to think. There was something I wanted to try this year, in 2026. I don't know if it's going to happen. I see several people do these things called like digital detoxes, right? Where they put all of their like electronics and stuff, and they kind of become one with being bored. And I don't really need to do that personally. I think that that would be more of a hindrance than to a lot of people who rely on some things that I do than it would be a benefit to me. So for me, it's more or less just making sure that I'm playing within the hours that I'm intending to play a video game instead of mindlessly playing all weekend, and trying to make more micromanaged goals, if you will. So being able to accomplish 15 raids on a weekend, and if I accomplish that in that period of time, fantastic, that's my intent, and I'm happy with that. There's my level of progress and dopamine, and not trying to I apologize about that, not trying to kind of go overboard and kill myself just to accomplish goals that the only person who is expecting anything from me to accomplish those in a timely manner is myself. So just kind of being fair to myself and giving myself good expectations. So I think I've spent a lot of time just kind of chair rotting at my desk, and then I'm trying to avoid that. I think I could do a lot with less, or a lot more with a lot less, if I'm more intentional about the time that I'm logging in. My buddy Trevor, when he was maxing his Iron Man, he used to do these 10 days, or I think it was 10 days. I think it was 10 days of gameplay. So 240 hours of in-game time. He would update his little channel that we have for him in my Discord with his accomplishments within that 240 hour gameplay. And it made him much more intentional about the time he spent logged in, so that when he wasn't doing something or he felt like he was just bank standing, he would log out, go do what he needs to do, and then come back to play the game. And I'm really envious of that, because I want to try to adopt that in some form and just be more intentional with the time that I'm playing, so that I can really notice that, hey, we're not just sitting here for 10 hours and I've probably played the game for 3. So just being more intentional. Let's see. Really don't have much past that. I feel like I've really kind of touched on all of the things. It's mostly just, this has been really just a personal ramble, not so much of a RuneScape ramble. I'm excited to be a main account again. This is like a really exciting thing. I haven't played a main in probably like 7 years. So, or maybe 6 years, probably 6 years. I think it was 6 years, yeah. And I'm excited to step back into this. It's really exciting. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, you're gonna regret it, you're gonna regret it. I'm just ecstatic. I'm so excited to play the game again. It's been outside of sailing. Sailing has been interesting, but I don't really want to skill. I really want to just hit boss, and I'm not going to do it without a max cape. So I wanted to hit boss. I want to burn through the implings that I have in my bank. I'm intending to do kind of like a bank overview at some point, and will probably be accompanied with a little ramble, if you will. But that is the current intention right now. Really just trying to reduce all of the time suck in my life, and just kind of reducing things, and trying to, the time that I am awake and around, I want it to be more intentional. And I think a lot of people could benefit from just being more intentional with what they're doing with their time. So I guess my ending note here is there any like unnecessary thing that you guys do with your time on RuneScape, or do you notice yourselves doing in RuneScape that you could adjust to better use your time more effectively? I wouldn't say efficiently, but just more effectively and more intentional. Like, what is the one thing that you guys could change in your habits that would make your experience on this game, or an experience in real life, feel more intentional and more prioritized? And that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you guys. Like the video, subscribe. I don't really know what everyone says here. I just wanted to talk in a microphone for 20 or so minutes, and yap a little bit. Thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. If you made it this far, appreciate it and love you guys. Thanks.